Hello, everybody. It's great to see you all back with us again, but we are sorry that this means you have once again found yourself stuck in K-Guard. I'm your host, Kevin Bradley, joined as always by my co-host and private jet connoisseur, Mr. Kevin Gallagher over here. We got some fun stories planned for today. A little bit of housekeeping news. This will be the last K-Guard podcast from my current setup in Buffalo. I'm going to be moving to the beautiful country of New Hampshire because I got a new job and rent's cheap out there. So I'm going to be moving into a rickety little one bedroom, and hopefully we'll be able to get set up by same time next week. So say goodbye to this very well curated background because it's not going to next time. It's not going to be as nice looking for a little bit because Shanice needs to wave her magic wand and make this whole thing look like a solid operation. So yeah, Kev, what you got? Any personal news you want to go over here at the jump?
Well, I mean, we can get into the stories of this weekend. I mean, I had a pretty fucking amazing, dope weekend. Things have been going great. My gym's been going awesome. I got new students every day. I'm running Black Friday specials. Life has been good. I've been away from home. God, I'm on a little roller coaster right here. I got to go. I was in Manhattan last weekend. I got to go to Vegas this weekend. I had a surprise trip to Manhattan. I wasn't ready for a trip to Manhattan. I wasn't expecting a trip to Manhattan. And at the last minute, one of my clients, my personal training clients who owns a jet, called and he was like, "Hey, how'd you like to take a flight to New York City to go watch the fights at Madison Square Garden?" Billy Quarantello, one of my training partners, longtime friends of mine, I've known from day one, was fighting on the main event. Amazing card at Madison Square Garden. We'll get into that. And fucking client, Mike, "Hey, you want to fly up there? I got tickets for you, and I got a free flight, hotel room." Took me out to Nobu. Led lunch in Little Italy, and went to Cat's Deli for a sandwich on Sunday, and we flew back in a jet. It wasn't a bad weekend.
Just bang, bang, boom. I will say, in every picture you posted, you looked weirdly comfortable with the level of excess you were dealing with. Like, yeah, this is no big deal for me.
Just another day in the life of Uncle Coach Kevin, brother.
You think this is my first rodeo? Yeah. No, man.
It's the lavish lifestyle I've grown accustomed to. I lead a charmed life sometimes, Kev.
Yeah. Did you try to get in touch with Dana, your best friend, while you were
tried
there?
To chat. There's actually a funny picture of me on Instagram with there was a cardboard cutout of Dana White. It was one of the advertisements that was sitting next to the bar. Me and my buddy had our arm around it, like chatting it up with Dana White. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, that's. I bet he's itching to talk to you. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get into the event, obviously, but did you see that picture going around of Rose and Whaley main event, and he's watching the Canelo fight on like a
No, I didn't see that. Was he watching? Is he watching?
Yeah,
the Canelo?
He had a little monitor with the Canelo fight.
I mean, that's cool. I don't, to Dana White's credit, his entire life is watching, UFC events. So why not? Would he not have a little television to watch the amazing fight that Canelo Alvarez is fighting? Canelo Alvarez is first man in history to unify the super middleweight division, which is pretty impressive. Manny Pacquiao said he's his GOAT. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao's got a beef with Floyd Mayweather, so he's going to say Canelo is the GOAT. But
I feel like a lot of people are willing to look past Mayweather just because of a number of reasons. But as someone who had to watch multiple mats of ADCC fights over the last few days, I'm not going to disparage a guy for wanting to keep his eye on multiple things at once.
Bro. I mean, it was a great fight. That card was just amazing. We'll get to that in a minute. A lot of the problem is that the fight of the year was the first fight on the card, and then everything else was a letdown from there. But that Rose Namajunas, I can never say her damn name.
Namajunas.
But the other girl, the Chinese girl, Wei Li, like that was a really, really good fight too, man. Both those girls really went after it. Like, and even the main event was not a boring fight. really, really good fight. It was not an action-packed fight. Matt, Kamaru Usman's fights never really are most of the time, but it was a very well-fought fight. Colby Covington's a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, would you say it wasn't as close? I was a little bit busy when the fight was going on, but from the highlights that I was able to catch, not as competitive as their first bout.
I would debate that. I think that Usman was clearly winning the first 3 rounds. He beat the shit out of Covington in the first 3 rounds. Covington just seemed kind of flat, was running scared, wasn't really pushing the action much as you would anticipate Colby Covington to do. Obviously, he was a little bit probably in his brain about getting his jaw broken their last fight.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, after that 3rd round or 2nd round, he got clipped in the end of the 2nd round. Almost got finished. I think if he had another 15 seconds, he would have been finished. I think if it wasn't a title fight, they might have actually stopped it, to tell you the truth. He was in a really bad shape there for a while. But, being the amazing, tough son of a bitch that he is, stud that he is, warrior that he is, he got his head back together. And, you could argue that he won the next 3 rounds, I think, to be honest with you. I think that maybe that 10-8 round in the second sealed it for Kamaru. Maybe one of those 3 was close. Kamaru might have won the 4th round. But Covington, he's just an animal, man. He's a stud. He's a bad dude, man. He worked his fucking ass off and put himself together and really, really fought a hard-fought fight to come back and turn it into an exchange. It's the things that we talk about when you talk about how great fights are, when you see that ebb and flow between guys taking control of the action. And that's what I always talk about when I talk about what separates great fighters from amazing fighters, or fighters that make it to that UFC level, but guys that really make it to the next level and continue on to be champions. It's that championship part. It's recognizing how the ebb and flow of the action, who is controlling the action, who's controlling the tempo, who's winning the exchanges, goes back and forth like a good basketball game. It goes back and forth between the two. Who is in control of the action? And it was on full display in that fight. Like, those guys went back and forth. When Kamaru started off hard, then Covington came back. I think Kamaru fought his way back in again. It was really cool to see.
I think that just between boxing and this UFC card, combat sports fans were stuffed this weekend, and then you got ADCC.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about ADCC. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, but I wanted to. You and I both had some words before the show, and I wanted specifically on the ebb and flow you were just talking about, and how you can really appreciate the story that's getting told in the ring, or the octagon. Right. Do you think that aspect of things is almost entirely lost on specifically New York State Commission judges?
Ah, man, don't get me started on the New York State Commission judges. I was upset with the Billy Quartello call. He's my homeboy. Yeah. I was in the arena, caught up in the madness. 40,000 people, or maybe more. It might have been 50,000. I don't know how many. It seemed like the Madison Square Garden was sold out. I don't know how many people were in that fucking building, but it was a lot of fucking people in Madison Square Garden.
Were there any vaccination?
Yeah,
testing?
You had to check. Yeah, but I mean, dude, bro, there were 3 people in our group that had fucking straight up fake falsified vaccination cards. There's some dude at the gate that just they just look at your phone. You got to show them your ID, and you got to show them a picture of it on your phone or your hard copy of the vaccination card. And they look at it, okay, cool. All right, cool. You know what I mean? They're going to check 40, 50,000 people. That's not like they didn't do even when you're going to the restaurants in New York City, you have to have a vaccination card to go into a restaurant. And it's just okay.
Tell those, I don't know if you're close to those guys in your group. Could you just shove them into a car or something?
Kev, brother, I ain't fighting that battle. I have my opinions on it. I do not want to turn this into, I don't want to lose 50% of our following.
We'll just power through.
Yeah.
You had skin in the game with your boy on full display. He's been having a good run in the UFC. Didn't go his way.
But I'll tell you what, man, what a fucking amazing fight. It's sad that we'll get to the Justin Gaethje Chandler fight, Michael Chandler fight. But is it Michael Chandler? What's his first name? I forget.
Michael Chandler, yeah.
Michael Chandler. That fight was ridiculous. Fight of the year. Definitely top 5, possibly fight of the year. And then after that, there was this huge, you could just see the entire arena was just like, oh, like they had to go take a lap to decompress after that fight. And then you get Billy Quarantillo.
A group cigarette break, yeah.
What's his Burroughs? I forget his first name. Justin Burroughs or Gabriel Burroughs. I forget his first name. I can't think right now. But, Billy and Quarantillo and Burroughs was insane to set a record for most significant strikes landed in a UFC fight. It was insane. Like those guys talk about ebb and flow. Those are two absolute warriors that fought their way to a win. Eventually, inevitably, Burroughs got the win. But other than that, just watching it, there were other fights, and I didn't see the post-fight interview or post-fight press conference with Dana White. Normally, he kind of talks a little shit about the New York City Boxing Commission, New York City's judging commissions. They're all boxing guys, boxing judges that are doing the fights. I heard that one of the fights on the undercard, we didn't get their time, was the same thing, just a shitty fucking call. I put it off as I'm not 100% sure of what the new criteria is. I know they just changed the criteria for scoring. But these boxing judges, they just don't understand MMA. They don't get the nuances of it. They look at it from a strictly boxing point of view, and the way they judge fights are clearly based upon that. They look at the most damage done by strikes, which is okay. That's part of the equation. But there's also the idea of who pushed the action, who was initiating the action, who went for more things, who shot for more takedowns, who tried to push things and make things happen. And man, if you watch that fight, I don't think there's any way you can not say that Billy Q was pushing the action. And in my opinion, in the Rose Namagallas fight and Namajunas, whatever, the fucking people just know I'm an idiot. I can't fucking say names. And then the Chinese chick who I can't remember her goddamn name either, but Weili. When you're watching that fight, it was weird because in the stand, you hear all these people screaming about Rose is kicking her ass. Mei Lee didn't win a round. And to be honest with you, I thought Mei Lee won the first 3 rounds, like hands down, without even questions. Maybe it was kind of difficult. Maybe there were some close things here and there and interactions in the 3rd round. But if you watch it, she lost. She clearly lost. I thought she won the 4th round too, to be honest with you. She clearly lost the 5th round because she's laid on her damn back. She got taken down, just sat on her back, and for some odd reason decided to play guard for an entire 5 minutes instead of getting back up and winning the fight when she was winning the exchanges on her feet. These judges, they don't get takedowns. They don't understand control. All they think about is who landed the most strikes, standing up, who hurt the other person more. And that's a very deceptive way to judge a fight. In an MMA fight, it's just not the same criteria, and I think that they just continually fuck it up.
Do you think they even obviously putting aside grappling versus striking? Do you even really think that they understand that the intricacies of different kicks as opposed to punches?
No,
are they going to judge a calf kick that could?
Yeah, they don't
brutalize your leg.
That's what happened to Billy, by the way. FYI, that's why he kept slipping because he got dead legged.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what happened. He couldn't walk after the fight. I don't know. He might still be in Manhattan, to tell you the truth. I don't know if they let him fly home or not.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't think they do, man. I just don't. And I don't know that to be the case. Maybe they do their research and things like that, but it's different. You can't just research that and have the amount of knowledge it requires to judge a fucking huge event. A main event in Madison Square Garden, title fight, UFC headline numbered UFC event, 268, 269, whatever the hell it was. You can't get that in, a crash course over a fucking summer. You have to understand the fight game. You have to understand what's happening at an intuitive level to be able to have a fair judgment on whatever criteria the UFC is scoring by. If not, you just revert back to what you know, and boxing is what you know, and it's just not the fucking same, man.
Well,
It's sad.
It's really weird, and that's what I think it's a problem a lot of people are interested in solving in some way. And I think as the general MMA watching public has become more and more well versed into the intricacies of the ground game, what different strikes to different parts of the body mean, like checking the leg kick, like, oh, that was actually he didn't eat that punch, it was in his guard, so it's not doing as much damage. Places like Verdict MMA, which I don't know if you follow them on like Instagram or their different pages, they are a crowdsourced voting conglomerate where they'll ask people to vote on like who wins different rounds and
Oh,
MMA
that's pretty
fights.
cool. I dig that. I'd like to see that actually.
Yeah, and so they will often stack their results against like the official results, and more often than not, I believe they had Dominic Reyes beating John Jones, which was like the thing that made me love them.
Yeah, but the other thing too, Kev, is that trust me, like sitting in the stands, and that's why I don't like going to Buffalo Wild Wings or Beef O'Brady's or whatever local joint Hooters to go watch fights, because I just want to bang my head against the wall listening to people who don't really know what's going on, giving their 2 cents on scoring and other things like that, because that's why people should understand the fight game intuitively, been a part of the game for years and years and years as a coach or whatever they have been in that fighting position, to be able to really judge, because it's amazing and absurd how ignorant and unfucking educated so many people are on the nuances of MMA. And I'm not trying to pretend like I'm looking down on my ivory tower, even though I did fly out on a private jet, but no big deal. But I don't want to pretend like I'm looking down on everyone, but it's just the reality, man. And the fucked up part is this, and this is where we talk about the reality of it. And again, I have to rewatch Billy Q's fight. I need to go back and give it a very impartial view. Obviously, I was in the arena. I was caught up in the moment. People were screaming and cheering. My boys fighting on the main event, and fucking, some dude I've known for fucking 15 years. One of my boos is on the goddamn main event with 40,000 people screaming his fucking name in Madison Square Garden. It was absolutely amazing. So I was a bit biased in my interpretation of it. But the sad part is when these judges fuck things up, like it has a huge implications. Billy Q just signed a contract now. Not to mention, Dana White's going to give him a bonus, but not to mention he's not going to get his win money now. That's $40,000. I don't know what he's getting paid. I think he's getting 40 and 40. I'm not sure, but that's $40,000 now he's not getting. You know what I mean? Now he has a loss on his record. If he goes into his next fight and has a super tough fight where he loses in a very similar way, now we've got 2 losses in a row. Now he's got to go back and win that third one. All that pressure's on, because you lose 3 in a row, you're done. There ain't no coming back from that unless you're fucking, Joe Lozone or something.
I was actually going to suggest to, and you can tell him this, but Billy, in case you're watching, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do a lot of Vicodin. Make sure it's the sketchiest Vicodin you can get. And then drink a lot. And then just drive. And the rest will take care of itself.
You'll be fine. You'll always have a career in the UFC.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta just do crimes. USADA shows up, hide. You have to hide.
Maybe a little cocaine here and there.
If you need to pee under an octagon and hide from them for 8 hours, you just gotta do that, man. You just gotta do that, and then you'll get. I think you'll get a belt.
I think you'll get a title shot for sure.
Yeah, no, I think you'll just. It'll all take care of itself, man. You just gotta.
Hashtag fuck John Jones.
Hashtag all of this was a joke.
But that's the reality of it. And it's just sad when you see things. It's great. Yeah, he won the eyes of the, Sean Selby and Dana White. Dana White said it was, it's a shame that it came after the Justin Gaethje fight and Michael Chandler fight, because it was such an amazing fight. People were literally just like not really watching the fight as hard as they could, because they were so fucking in awe of what the amazing fight that happened previously, that they kind of lost their luster a little bit with Billy Q.
And any other card, it would have been like the hidden jewel, like that. That really wowed me fight.
Right.
And that sucks.
That sucks.
Imagine what's a good example? Imagine following up
John Jones, Gustafson, or something like that.
Yeah, imagine following up Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald
Right.
with some other like
a decently
what's
subpar
the
championship fight.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a solid example.
Johnny
McGregor,
Hendricks GSP or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty. Yeah, no, it's not this. Yeah, both great. One astronomically better than the other. Like
Right.
just in terms of,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is one of the
A
greatest.
truly seminal fucking like historic fight that will go down as one of the true great fights in the history of the UFC, which is 100% what Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler was, man. Holy shit, man. What a fucking fucking sane.
I think we
like I'll tell you,
this was such a good fight. We have to stop saying Michael Chandler doesn't need to be here. You know,
like that was solved when he nearly
Dan
killed.
Hooker.
Yeah, Dan Hooker, and then he went out and
and
literally
was he
almost
given
beat
a title
Charles
shot
Oliveira.
too soon? Probably.
Maybe, but I don't know. He almost won that damn fight.
That's true, but like, were there people that should have fought before him? Absolutely.
Yes.
No doubt. But fuck, if he's not a value add, if he's not a solid, like already he's earned his keep. Like with the fights he's put on, the shit he's done, like shit. I don't know, man.
How tough is Justin Gaethje? If there was ever a question of how tough of Justin Gaethje's toughness is, which there isn't, and believe me, that guy's a machine, an animal. Like there's never going to be a question of it again. Like Michael Chandler hits people and they crumble, like literally just crumble. He just murders people with one punch. He hits so hard.
If he clips you on the elbow,
he has that obscene one-touch power in both hands, particularly in that right hand, that just level people.
He's so good. I remember watching him versus Dan Hooker and thinking, there's like the size difference is cartoonish between the two, and you're thinking, how is he going to just get in there and close this? And he just beeps his way like right up to Dan Hooker and just like lights him up, beeps away. Like
the answer is he has zero concern for his own well-being.
Yeah,
he will just eat punches like for breakfast.
Oh my God.
And he throws him leg kicks. But I mean, I personally thought Michael Chandler was going to win that fight. I didn't think that Justin Gaethje was going to. I didn't think that his game plan was going to be able to hold up against Chandler's power. I thought Chandler was going to knock him out. And in the first round, Chandler connected heavy, and Gaethje kind of stumbled back a little bit. And I thought, all right, there it is. It's game over. And what you saw was the remarkable ability for Justin Gaethje to shake that shit off and get right back in the game again. And you could see at the end of the first round, Chandler gave it everything he had, and he just had that look in his face. He was tired and just insane. It's like Rocky in Rocky IV when Ivan Drago is beating the shit out of Rocky, and he goes in the corner, and he's like, this man is made of iron. And you can just see the broken look in his face. There's something to be said about catching your guy with his best punch, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, the punch that murders everybody else, and then having them eat it and keep coming forward with a smile on their face. And you can see it after that second round. One guy looked broken, and the other guy was ready to fucking rumble. Justin Gaethje was like, it's another day in the park. Let's do this thing. He just kept moving forward with it.
I kind of want to stick his head, like after that fight, I want to stick his head under one of those hydraulic presses and see, like, just like, watch the hydraulic press break. Like, it's just not going anywhere.
I popped your eyeball out, Tony. Like fucking from Casino. You made me pop your eyeball. You made me pop your eyeball out for Jimmy Dogs. For that piece of shit.
Oh my gosh. Fun fact, that is Shanice's favorite movie, Casino.
Casino's a good one. Casino's a good.
Anything stupid motherfucker, you
stupid motherfucker. I like to see when he has the bank guy come over. He goes, because I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to show up. I'm going to bash your fucking brains in with a phone. And just about the time I get out of fucking jail, you'll be getting out of the hospital. And I'm going to come back in again, and I'm going to bash your fucking brains in again. Because I'm crazy. That's what I do.
Robert De Niro just goes, I had it all. Money, power, a casino, and all All I need now is a woman who's gonna make me miserable.
That's pretty much
She's
life.
gonna steal everything I love and make me miserable, and I am
That's
gonna
pretty
hate
much
her.
life. Bang my best friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna love her, but she's gonna be the worst thing ever. But okay, so what is like this thing was so crazy. Like again, it sucks that it sucked all the life out of the rest of the card, but holy shit. I mean, a lot of talking about next steps. Chandler actually made a post after the fight on Twitter with a Photoshop picture of him facing off against McGregor.
Yeah.
That weirdly, I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Maybe it's because I want it to happen and I'm trying to ignore all the logic behind that. But like,
I wouldn't mind seeing Chandler get a red panty night. He deserves it. Let him get paid.
I mean,
but
this is one of those
everybody in the division wants that fight because that's the money fight. Everybody like Connor McGregor is all the money, and it's hard to see a world where Connor McGregor doesn't fight Poirier again as soon as his leg heals up. But
do you even
Conor
care
McGregor
about that?
Not really. I don't give
exactly.
a fuck. I didn't give a fuck about Conor McGregor this last fight, to be honest with you. I was hoping Poirier was going to starch him, and he was well on his way to starching him. And then all of a sudden, he breaks his leg, and now I'm like, literally, when I saw Conor McGregor break his leg, the only thing I thought of was a motherfucker. Now we have to do this for another 2 fucking years. I was hoping, I really, really believe in my heart of hearts, Poirier was going to fucking starch him. He had him fucking broken in the first fucking round. He was going to beat the shit out of him. And then Connor breaks his fucking leg, and all of a sudden I was like, son of a fucking bitch, we have to do this all fucking over again. The Conor McGregor fucking show will keep on fucking trucking because he's not gonna fucking stop now.
Is there a fight number? Like, how many fights removed is he from being a champion?
Who fucking knows, Kev? There's no rules of Conor McGregor.
Yeah, no, he fought Poirier twice. Before that, Cowboy. So he's only fought 3 fucking times.
I mean, I want to believe we live in a world where that division is so deep that Conor McGregor has to fight his way back up again. That division is stupid deep. You got Charles Oliveira, you got fucking Dustin Poirier, you got fucking Justin Gaethje. You've got, don't forget about Tony Ferguson still float. Yeah, don't forget about Tony Ferguson still floating around out there. You know what I mean? He has looked great. I think he's done.
Give Tony his red. He was supposed to have a red penny night with Habib, and we were all robbed.
Yeah,
I feel like Tony can deal with Connor. Connor's not even Connor anymore.
Yeah, but Connor hits hard. Connor hits really fucking hard. But I don't think he's going to stop.
Kukui will just pull guard.
Yeah, I don't think
he'll straight up pull guard, work for the triangle. Like,
well, he's a big guy too. He's big. He's as big as Connor is as far as like Connor's reach. Because the thing about Connor that's deceptive is the fact he has a very long reach.
He's got
those orangutan arms. That's why that left hand connects at such a high level, because it just fucking shoots out an extra fucking 2-3 inches when people don't think it's going to get there.
Remember when he was throwing like karate kicks? Like, remember how crazy that was?
Yeah, yeah. He still does. He does all that, and Connor, bless his heart. I never knock Connor's ability. He's one of the most dynamic strikers in the history of the UFC, undoubtedly. I just don't think he's the same fighter as he used to be. He
boxes a lot now.
He doesn't give a fuck. He's worth fucking he's worth $500 million.
How long until he's not the red panty night? Like how long until he's not? It's just sort of sad. Is there a number that we could get to?
I was hoping that after this fight, it would kind of lose its appeal a little bit. I mean, there's still a couple big ones out there. He could still Nate Diaz and Connor is another huge trilogy. Connor and Jose Aldo is another big fight to sell tickets. Those are still fights out there that could possibly be like, hey, holy shit, fucking Connor's gonna fight Nate Diaz. Both of those guys really aren't on the track to the top of the pyramid anymore. But goddamn, we'll watch that fight. You know what I mean? Or goddamn, we'll watch.
That's about the one thing that'll keep me excited, because that's such a great story. Like the Diaz trilogy, like close that out.
I just don't fucking. It's for the life of me.
Nate deserves that fight.
He does, but I don't know if I admire Conor McGregor or I'm just perturbed and confused by his ability to want to continue to fight. Dude, you're worth so much fucking money. And you're not making Floyd Mayweather money. I don't care. You're not making $100 million a fight, $500 million a fight. You're not making Floyd Mayweather money to fight anymore. You're making 10 million, 15 million, maybe 20. I think he pulled his last fight, which, by normal standards are astronomical. But when you're worth fucking $500,000, $20 million isn't worth putting your life and limb on the line anymore. It's just
he's worth $500 million.
Yeah, it's just not. You're making that. You're making $1 million a year just putting your money in the bank, man. You know what I mean? You're making $10 million a year, fucking just invested in that shit.
He became the highest paid athlete not because he fought, but because he sold a portion of his liquor company.
He sold a portion of his liquor company.
Yeah. That's
I say this. I just said this the other day on the private flight when I was flying back on the jet.
Did you fly private?
Did I say that again? Did you want to see the picture? You want to see a picture? When Connor McGregor, as much as I want to hate him, I don't really hate him. I just I don't like him sometimes. I wish that he wasn't around sometimes, but I have a love-hate. My love-hate relationship with Connor McGregor is the same as my love-hate relationship with Gordon Ryan. I don't fucking dislike the kid. As much as I love what they have done for the sports that I love, I also do not care much for the way they did that. But that's just my fucking opinion. I'm a crazy old man that likes to shake my fist at the clouds. But there's no question the amount of admiration. It's one of the fucking most amazing stories, I think, in the history of fucking mankind. It really fucking is. It's one of those absolutely insane. It's a straight up gladiator that went from being a slave to a king just by fighting, just by having charisma, just by being the person they are. Went out and it's the shit that Ernest Hemingway and the greatest authors of our generation wrote stories about the praise and the beauty of why we all fight. That's the reason why we all fight, because every one of us wants to be Connor McGregor. Every one of us every one of us wants to fight our way out of servitude into royalty through the Coliseum. And Connor McGregor 100% did that. And it's an amazing fucking story. I just think
he was my first real favorite fighter. And that might be, because there's some bullshit rot brain Jersey Irish kid saying that in my head, seeing this Irish guy and knowing I'm Irish, and it's cool that there's this high visibility murderer that's just running shit. And I got to him after right after Aldo, when he was on the path to rematching with Diaz, and he was going to be champ. There was this. I think it's important to document this because we're so far removed from it now, and it's kind of sad. But I'll always remember the Mystic Mac era.
Yeah.
That time when he truly had the charisma and this supernatural way to talk about the fight. And the way he talked about fighting and the way he talked about everything, where he was almost like this weird philosopher where he'd barely do any. He would, in the lead ups, he would be very mean and make jokes, but he wouldn't laugh a lot. He would mainly just talk shit and be very serious. And
Conor McGregor is much like Muhammad Ali in the same idea that they are so completely driven that they make themselves believe their own delusions. And they what's the word I'm looking for? They create that. They take this little piece of madness out of their brain and they give it life and make it reality. There's a better, or animate it. There's a better word for it, but they make it happen. And Conor McGregor is absolutely amazing. Conor McGregor, I became a fan when he starts Eddie Alvarez, because at the time I thought Eddie Alvarez was going to fucking kill him. Eddie Alvarez was on top of the world when he fought. I thought it was going to be a joke. Conor was coming up in weight. Eddie Alvarez was murking everybody, and Conor McGregor beat the living shit out of him.
You knew at round one that how this was going to go.
Yeah, man.
He didn't even sit down. Eddie Alvarez is doubled over on the bench, and he's just walking around looking at people like a crazy man. I don't know what he could do to, I don't know, within reason, I don't know what he could do to make this not one of my favorite MMA media moments, but I will never not smile when I think about that like dickhead from Boston who got up and got to ask a question during the Eddie Alvarez McGregor presser. He's like, "This is Freddie Alvarez. You say you have stopping power, but you've been stopped. You haven't gone to the championship rounds in any fight. So what the fuck are you talking about, motherfucker?" And everyone just blows up and he's just like, "You fucking piece of shit." And then Connor's like, "Hey!" And I'm just like, "Fuck you, Eddie Alvarez," a guy I think is great, and I think he's a phenomenal fighter. But in that moment, I was fully Connor McGregor fanboy. Fuck you, dude. Oh yeah, shit. Go fuck yourself, Eddie
rightly
Alvarez.
so, man. Like Connor McGregor is no joke. There are certain athletes, and you really get an idea of this when you're at a venue like Madison Square Garden. So, for those who don't know, Madison Square Garden is really the mecca for professional fighting. Before Vegas was really a thing, Madison Square Garden was where Muhammad Ali fought fucking Joe Frazier, where all these amazing, like iconic fights of the history of boxing, the history of modern, combat athletics have all been fought at Madison Square Garden. And when you walk into that room, there's that weird like aura of this floating around the halls. It's like when you go to Yankee Stadium or something like that. You can just feel the ghosts of Babe Ruth. They say that Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig are still in the building and shit like that. You feel that presence when you walk in a room. Then when you add the idea of it being, this huge fucking fight that not only millions of people are going to see on television, but you got 50,000 people in the room screaming and yelling their name and fucking going nuts. Like, that shit is insane. Like, I've done some pretty cool things. I've competed at a pretty high level on a pretty high stage like that, but nothing on that level. And like, I get jazzed up on the little fucking piddly things that I do on fight to win stages and, on Kasai and things like that, fighting at the world championship, shit like that. But like, I saw Billy Q walking out with 40,000 fucking people on the stage and like embracing that. And when we talk about the ebb and flow of fighters, you have to recognize that like that insane amount of pressure, like you don't just fucking will that shit away. And the greatest fighters of all time, the Muhammad Ali's, the fucking Floyd Mayweathers, the Conor McGregors, not only do they embrace that, they use it and they feed on it, and they use this persona, this larger than life persona, to take their opponents out of their game before they've even gotten a chance to step into the cage. Like, you can watch Conor McGregor, when they smack hands, he runs right in your fucking face. He doesn't give you a chance to fucking like get ready. Same thing with Floyd. He's right up in your fucking grill. Let's do this thing. You don't get a chance to get ready and get your feet wet. He's right in your fucking grill looking for the win. You never get that opportunity to snap out of fucking, holy shit. I mean, this is really happening. This is real. Like, the great ones embrace that and they live for it.
Can I ask you how? So I think I love how he wasn't even on the card, but we're still talking about him. Connor, a lot of people are saying you rose up to the heights and you earned more money than anyone in this sport has ever earned. You can't, and you've earned too much. Like you have it too good. You can't, and so you can't keep it going. And that's a reasonable explanation for why his passion for the sport dropped off. How do you then like look at guys like Floyd Mayweather, who, despite earning massive amounts of money, let's get into his bankruptcy and insolvency issues aside. He earned massive amounts of money.
He's a $1 billion athlete.
Yeah, no, never. But despite his financial successes, maintained a level that was, if not completely dominant. Like you people argue that Pacquiao won, specifically my friends in the Philippines. Like people, like, he never dropped it for even a second. No one attacks his record like he was fighting cans the entire time.
You could say that he handpicked his fighters a lot of times, but that's not really the case. Like, he did handpick his fighters, but he definitely picked the best fighters out there, especially at the end. And you can really honestly say that towards the end of Floyd Mayweather's career, yeah, he wanted to get paid. It was about the money, but he also wanted to put a stamp on his legacy. I mean, he fought fucking who? He fought Canelo. What the fuck are you gonna say? Canelo's a fucking punk. He fought Manny Pacquiao. Now it was a fucking broken down Manny Pacquiao. He fought. I can't think of his fucking name. Anyway, he fought the best fighters of that era over and over and over again, week in and week out. Fernando Vargas, all these great guys that were super, super fucking tough, and he beat them all. He didn't beat them in like exhilarating fashion. He didn't knock anybody out, but he sure as fuck beat them. And, he did that to isolate himself and secure his legacy as the greatest of all time. And it's hard to debate that. I personally would like to feel that guys like Sugar Ray Robinson, some of the guys that maybe dropped a fight here and there because they just went out there and went out on their shield, are a little bit better. I feel like as a combat athlete, you have to, if you're not going for the finish, you're really not doing justice.
Yeah, but that's mainly what I want to talk about is, well, one, I think in the words, I don't know if we're owed nonstop theatrical, huge, like back and forths. In the words of Bill Russell, you play to win the game.
Yep.
I'm never going to knock. I'm not going to knock Tyron for the way he fought when he was at his peak. I'm not going to knock anybody. I'm not going to knock Kamaru for the way he's fought. Because despite being, despite Kamaru getting called boring, he's still knocking fuckers out. He's still broke Kobe's jaw off his head.
He knocked the fuck out of Jorge Masvidal, and that ain't
Jorge Masvidal. He fucking piecemealed him up. Like, what do you want?
Starched him. I thought he killed him. I thought Masvidal was dead,
flatlined. So, but and yeah, I think you could argue that there are better fighters than Floyd Mayweather, and they might have lost here or there because the record is not the only thing that matters. You could argue that there are people that in different time periods have fought different levels of competition. Again, prime Manny maybe beats him.
Right.
Maybe for a lot of people, Manny's still the GOAT because of how long he was able to maintain.
A lot of people. I mean, it's a very valid argument that GSP is the GOAT. GSP was a pretty boring fighter. GSP played by the rules. There wasn't a whole lot of knockouts with GSP. He had a whole lot of grinding. Now he didn't drop around for forever. Same thing with Khabib. Now he has a little more finishes, I think, but Khabib never dropped around. It was kind of boring. He did a lot more damage to his opponents. Like, he beat the shit out of his fucking opponents, but you can argue that Floyd Mayweather beat the shit out of his opponents too. He just didn't have knockout power.
Knocked out Connor McGregor.
Yeah, knocked out Connor McGregor. I mean, you look at the end of the fight between any fight that Floyd Mayweather's had over his last 10 fights. You line those two guys up, you definitely know who fucking won that fight. You know what I mean? You look at the post fight against Canelo. Canelo's face was fucking hamburger meat, and Floyd Mayweather didn't have a scratch on him. Who won that fight? Now, did Floyd knock him out? Not really, but he obviously did something.
Yeah, and then you look at Anderson Silva, obviously much different. His level of investment too. Sometimes he just get bored and fight like an asshole. So that's what fucks him up. Plays into it. But how old is he now? He's 40 something, and he's doing boxing matches and winning.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's crazy.
He's phenomenal.
And he looks phenomenal. Like,
he's phenomenal. Yeah, he's a true phenom. I think. So, yeah. Joe Rogan says that too. I think that when Anderson Silva was really on his game, there is no one better. And I kind of agree with him on that. I still think John Jones might be the best ever, but like, I can also make the debate that at the time when Anderson Silva was on point and he really wanted to fight, there was no one out there better than Anderson Silva. His striking was so dynamic. He could literally toy with you and knock you out whenever the fuck he wanted to. When he was the really
first Matrix guy. He was the first Matrix UFC fighter. And Izzy's not there yet.
Izzy's not. He's getting there. He's not quite. Yeah. In GSP, he beat the shit out of you, but he really wasn't that like, I can end this fight at any moment, at any time I want to type fighter like John Jones or like GSP was. He was a grinder,
or like Anderson was,
or Anderson, right? Exactly. He was a grinder.
So what I mean with all that is, you had Floyd making massive amounts of money, more than Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor had to fight him to start to earn that kind of money, and he lost. How is it that he was able to maintain a certain level of performance? Like, despite how his style not being super dynamic, he didn't drop until he came out to fight fucking Jake Paul or Logan Paul. And that's
right.
like, yeah, I'm not even going to include that.
Right.
He didn't drop anything in terms of just output in the way that I think we've seen Connor. You know,
He's just a special fighter. You know, he's just a special person. Just like he said, Bill Russell, you play to win the game. He had his particular style. He's very dynamic. He understands how to win, and he understands how to game plan together. And he's so mentally tough. And that's the thing that people kind of write off on him because, he's athletically gifted. He's fast. He's quick, and his reflexes are on point. But God, he's 40 fucking years old now. He was 36, 37 when he was fighting. His reflexes aren't what he was. Damn sure aren't what they were when he was 22, 23 in the lightweight division, smoking everybody. He wasn't the same fighter then. But what he was is he's just so smart and so mentally tough. And he's so able to maintain his game plan in the face of all these ridiculous obstacles. And it's the special things, the same thing that Connor McGregor has. And Floyd says it all the time, like, these guys just don't know. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what fight week's like. They don't know what it's like to come up to Vegas and have all these lights on you, have these cameras on you, and being the man and going to the weigh-in and having thousands of people in there screaming and hollering your name and trying to stay focused through all that and not have the ebb and flow of the emotional fucking turmoil. Then you get in the ring and you're still trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Like, Floyd thrives on that. He lives in that environment. He loves it. He embraces it. He uses that as a skill set in the same way that Conor McGregor does, in the same way that Muhammad Ali does, the same way Muhammad Ali beat fucking George Foreman when George Foreman was this undominable fucking spirit.
He came back. He climbed back up the mountain when George Foreman was a young guy.
Yeah,
Think about that.
He beat him not because he was the better fighter. He beat him because he was Muhammad Ali and he knew how to fuck his brain up and beat him.
That was when he started doing the rope-a-dope. That's when he started being a gamesman and he just started he read the boxing rule book cover to cover, inside out, 150 times, and is like, I now know how to fuck with people.
That's right.
This is gonna be how I fuck with people and mess with them.
And I hate to say that, but it's the same way that I do well in the ADCC. I didn't compete in the ADCC because I'm fucking tired and broken or whatever. But I know the rule set, and I'm a wily old veteran, and I know how to play the fucking game and frustrate the young kids and get them fucking playing my game. And before you know it, I score when I need to score. You know what I mean? Is it cheesy? Maybe. But you know what? I get my fucking hand raised a lot. It's the same way when you go to IBJJF and these old school fucking Brazilians that win them all the time because they know how to play that fucking advantage game. They pass your guard or they do just enough to get an advantage and they hold you there and they make just enough movements to make sure they're moving and they frustrate you when you fuck up. They capitalize on the fucking mistakes. And you know what? Just like Bill Russell said, you play to win the game. And I don't make the rules. I just learn how to fucking win by them. And the best fighters in the world do that.
Yeah, and I think if you're some guy that's like, listen, I've gotten annoyed at some boring fights. Listen, I had to suffer through Francis Ngannou and the Black Beast. All right, I know, or like Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis. Like, I know boring fights and how they can take a toll on you. But I think knocking an entire fighter's style when it's proven effective is just the height of some bullshit. Like,
well, so there's two rules of thought with that. This is the way this is the GSP conundrum. This is also the Floyd Mayweather conundrum. Like, it's fucking like, to get to the top, you have to be an exciting fighter. You have to fucking turn heads. You have to make people fucking like you. And you make people like you by getting finishes and being exciting. But once you get there, you can do whatever you need to do to stay there because it doesn't matter because I got to beat you to be the fucking champ. That's what Floyd Mayweather did so well. Like, he had to be exciting to make his name to be Floyd Mayweather because he was a dynamic, exciting fighter in his early years. And then he started realizing, oh, fuck, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to take chances anymore. Why? Because I'm Floyd fucking Mayweather. You got to come beat me to be the champ. Same thing with GSP. He doesn't need to take chances anymore. Now, he was dynamic and exciting in the beginning to build up the ladder to get up to the top. But once you're the champ, it's on the other guy to come beat you. And that's the fucking harsh reality of it. So you get to play the boring, more reserved, more calculated game to put the rounds in the bank to win the fight. And if a knockout or a finish appears, you take advantage of it. But if not, you shy away from it. You just keep sticking with the game plan because you're allowed to do that.
I guess with regards to the Connor versus Floyd, Floyd's like cruising altitude, once he had made it and like he settled into what his reign was going to be like and what his pace was going to be like. His pace was like his cruising altitude, his cruise control was like just better than Connor's, I guess. You could chalk that up to whatever their home situation is or what their philosophies are.
I mean,
when Floyd decided to take it easy and do just enough, it was still more than Connor doing the same thing.
I love Connor McGregor, and I love people who think that Connor really had a fucking chance in that fight. But like, whatever. That was a game for Floyd from the fucking start.
I'm not even talking about their boxing match. I'm talking about just like once Connor made it and became Connor McGregor.
Oh yeah,
a household name instead of the scrappy young guy from Ireland who's
now the circus is on.
Yeah. Like
I guess those are special fighters. That's kind of like don't think that Dana White doesn't recognize that skill set. It takes a very keen eye to see that. That's something that Billy is very good, and it's the reason why they put Billy on the main event. Like Billy wants that spotlight. Billy wants to be there when it matters. And there's certain guys that do. There's certain guys that don't. There's guys that crumble under the pressure, and there's guys that thrive under it. What do they say? Pressure can make diamonds, or it can crush you or make a diamond, or some shit like that. But you get the idea.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It makes diamonds or fucking blah blah blah. There are certain guys that thrive under that. Not just thrive under that, they want it, they embrace it, they want to be the guy, they want to live in that fucking spotlight, and they want to use that to their advantage. Billy and Connor McGregor and real fighters do that.
Yeah, I think one last thing I want to talk about before we go over, we got to go over on Andre and the ADCC.
I know. This turned into the her UFC night.
Weili and Rose defending her title. Kind of bummed about that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little off the Rose train ever since she started going like political and just you should have heard him. You should have heard him screaming.
You should have heard him screaming. And she has some kind of problem with. Isn't she from a communist country or something like that? So she has some kind of anti-communist incentive to hate China. I guess.
Yeah, it's really not worth going. Unfortunately, the shitty part is it's so far removed from what should be in this conversation. Like, it's just some messed up shit.
I'll just say one thing. It was a bit disappointing to hear some of the things that the crowd was saying during the fight. It was just, screaming fortune cookie and just throwing out every, but that's the world we live in now anymore, kid. Politics rules us now. Whatever side you're on, it's just it makes me sad to see the entirety and totality of our lives just so consumed by political fucking sides. I don't want to get into it, but I hope people don't wake up one day and find a civil war on our hands. I just think it's coming, but I don't want to get that fucking. I don't want to go down that fucking rabbit.
That's some shit. I think the fact that Dana was there and he knows his fighter is getting verbally abused by his fan base. I think the fact that he didn't say shit kind of that just seems
but that's what are you gonna do, man? He's a businessman.
At least address that like one of your former champions, best fighters on your roster, first champion from China, is being treated like shit. You don't even need to talk about free speech. You can just say, hey, what's happening is fucked up. Just
and they act like this poor girl is, she's just proud of her country, just like everybody else is. Like every other fucking asshole walks in there with a fucking flag of their country. That's what they do. They're representing their country. It's not like she's fucking down with Mao Wen or whatever the fuck his name is, the chairman. You know what I mean? Like she's like, I'm just a fucking fighter. I just come here to fight. Like I want to shake hands and go to Times Square and fucking check out Disney World where I'm in the country. Like I'm not here.
Yeah, go back to China. Get out of America. America's never done anything wrong.
Yeah, right.
Ever.
Anyone. Ever. We never
We're
clean
the
slate.
best.
Clean slate. But whatever. Aside from that, it's disappointing just to see that.
Yeah.
It's just being a part of it and seeing people screaming in the crowd, and it turned into a political fucking parade from the start. People were screaming "fuck Joe Biden," and it's like, I don't care what your political points of view, but it doesn't have place. There's no place for it at a goddamn UFC fight. We're here to watch fucking fights. No one gives a fuck about your political fucking mojo. Leave that shit for your Twitter page or
Yeah.
whatever fucking shit you're listening to.
But I do want to end on some fight news. So both of these women came off of a very high profile card that's getting a lot of praise from everyone just for the performances. So I feel like everybody, it's weird because normally with like cards like this, there's winners and losers, and you're not sure who's going to go where. But it feels like everyone put on such a great show. There's really a lot of avenues for everybody. You could talk about rematches. I know there's some people that want to see Gaethje, Chandler run it back, which I'm worried because you're running the risk of immediately tainting that great exchange.
I unfortunately I think there's just too much. There's too much in that division, too much talent in that division. Gaethje's going to get the winner.
I want to see them fight, different people. I want to see both of them fight different people. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want Chandler to fight. I want one of these guys to fight McGregor, just because both of them deserve a payday.
Yeah, when McGregor comes back, we'll see. I really think Justin Gaethje, Connor McGregor is the most exciting fight out there. I think Gaethje has proven that he can take that supernatural fucking punch, and he might be able to eat a Conor McGregor fight. Poirier did. He might be able to eat a Conor McGregor punch.
With guys like Gaethje, you always wonder if that last fight was where a crack formed.
Exactly. Eventually you're not gonna be able to keep eating that shit. I guess the Diaz brothers keep doing it.
Do you think he's got a tougher chin than Nate Diaz?
Yeah, I think so, man.
Yeah,
I've never seen Gaethje hurt.
He got kind of rocked by Khabib, which is
I guess he did. But I mean, I saw him. Quick story about Justin Gaethje. Then we got to get going. I'm getting tired. It's late night for you guys. For the folks at home, this is where we're recording this at midnight. Quick Gaethje story. I saw Justin Gaethje. I was cornering one of my fighters in Tampa in a small card. I don't remember what card it was. It was like World Series of Fighting or some shit like that. And the main event was Justin Gaethje versus Melvin Guillard. And it was Melvin Guillard really was the headliner, and this kid fucking Justin Gaethje that nobody fucking knew who the fuck he was. And in our locker room that we were at getting our fighter ready, Justin Gaethje was getting ready for his fight. And he was sitting in the corner and looked like some hipster kid. He had like fucking, horn rim glasses on, some kind of hardcore kid, had like tattoos, his little button up shirt and shit like that. And I remember looking at him thinking to myself, that's the fucking guy that's going to fight Melvin Guillard like lambs to the slaughter. You know what I mean? They wanted Melvin Guillard. They wanted a name. This kid was too dumb to know he shouldn't be fighting Melvin Guillard. Took the chance, and he's just going to go get fucking murdered. And when I tell you, he starched Melvin Guillard like Melvin fucking Guillard, like really, really tough fucking dude. He beat the shit out of Melvin Guillard the same way he does, banging leg kicks, crazy, crazy hooks, and beat the shit out of Melvin Guillard. And from that point on, I was like, holy fuck, this Justin Gaethje kid's awesome. And now you see him fighting at the highest levels in the world. He's just a tough son of a bitch, man. He's just insane. I think that we're going to see the winner. First of all, you got Poirier, Oliveira. Gaethje will get the winner of that fight. And then the loser will probably fight Michael Chandler. And why not? We all win. That's a great one. And who knows? Maybe Chandler gets bumped down, but I think that's what should happen.
Do you think there's any interest from obviously Billy Q helped set a record. That's not nothing in the eyes of the promotion. Do you think, and with how close it was, do you think they run it back?
Who knows, man? I mean, they possibly could. I think it's tough to say run it back at those lower end
Levels.
fights. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not really a title fight. It's not really anything that's of significance, 15 ranked, top 15 guy and, Billy trying to make it in the top 15. Billy might end up in the top 15 win, lose, or draw now, to be honest with you. I'd be interested to see what the standings are. I didn't look. But I don't think that Billy's fucking stock fell at all. Same thing with Burgos.
It's weird. I don't think anyone's stock really fell too much, like at all. Even the losers, like it's that's how high powered this card was. So, do you getting to the main event? Do you see anywhere for Rose? I mean, she's kind of starting to eat the division alive a little bit. Obviously, Joanna's still there, but I don't know if anyone really is interested in seeing them.
Well, Rose already beat Joanna, didn't she? Didn't she? She already beat you. Yeah, they fought a bunch of times, right? Joanna.
They did a trilogy, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Rose bumps up. She's not a very big girl. Goes up and fights Valentina. That could happen. I think Valentina's way too big.
Yeah, Valentina would eat her up, and I'd be happy to see it.
I really think that this fight was way closer than. I mean, like again, we got shitty judges. One of the judges had it like fucking. I think they had Rose winning every round or close to it. That was just ridiculous. It was a split decision, but one of the judges had Rose win every round. I really thought May won. I thought she won. I thought she won the first 3 rounds hand down, and then she coasted in the last 2 rounds, which fucking was her undoing. I think she goes out there, gets up off her ass in the 5th round, and fights on her feet and wins that 5th round with an exclamation point. She wins that fight, but for some unknown reason, she laid on her ass. And like I wanted to see it because I wanted to see all the fucking idiot fans that were fucking totally like just fuck China, fuck her. Rose is kicking her ass. And I was like, no, she's not. She's actually getting her ass kicked. You know what I mean? I wanted to see them shut the fuck up just because I wanted to. I don't know. Who knows, man? I love Rose. She's an amazing dynamic fighter. I just don't know who's left out there for the fight. I'm sure they'll find someone for her. She's not going to fight May Win again, but
the craziest thing is that truthfully, someone could just show up. That's the craziest thing about. That's the crazy thing about MMA is that someone could just show up and become the new champion. Like that's the new people are being born, and aging into the sport and giving it a shot. And we're finding,
What about the girl? What about the girl that dropped her on her head and knocked her out? Maybe that's a rematch potential fight. That's something that can bring her up. Just to have, hey, look, this is the last girl to beat her. Or whatever. Let's run this fight again to see how it looks.
How much can
Rose? There's someone out there. There's always somebody. I don't know the women's strawweight division very well, I guess, but there's someone out there for her to fight.
I want Roxanne Modafari to cut down and get a belt. Let's go.
My boo Roxanne, she's got a boyfriend now. She won.
Oh yeah, congrats to Roxanne. That's awesome.
I stalk her on the gram.
Leave her alone. Oh man, but hey, we didn't get to talk about ADCC today, and that's a big bummer. But congrats to Cade Ruotolo and Cole Abate, the 2 big winners, tastemakers of the event. You guys look great, and
Mason
congrats
Fowler.
to Cole for repping the ADCC style. No rash guard. That was a big
Mason Fowler. We've had him on the show. Mason Fowler won.
Yeah, Mason Fowler won. I forgot. I was actually a correspondent for Rafa Esparza's Grappling Hour live stream, companion to the event, and I was doing some kind of reporting. Haven't been able to do that.
Rafa Esparza, I don't remember. I don't recognize the name. He has a podcast. He does something with the media, something like that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
funny. He's been on our show, right? Hasn't he? We've had him on a few times.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's really it's not that big a deal though. I don't think.
I mean, it isn't, but it is. It is. Right? I mean, it isn't, but it is. I mean, you've been on, right? Hey, yeah, you were on. Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Kev? Friend of the show, Kevin Bradley. I'm not saying I'm bitter.
Please invite Kevin Gallagher on. I
just
can't.
For 10 minutes. I don't give a fuck. Just let me come on and tell some dick jokes. I don't care. Just so I'm not crazy about it anymore. I'm fucking crazy. I can't help myself.
He invited you on for the New Year's thing, right? Like you're the
Yeah, for his
you were
bullshit. My
on.
fucking fight companions. I want a fucking slot. I'm just fucking with you, kid.
Kevin
I want to
Gallagher
be.
on Verbal Tap Plan.
I
We'll
want to
start
feel
that.
special.
All right. Hey, so
I was
I don't
happy to
know
see.
if you
Real quick. I was happy to see that they separated the ADCC into 2 days. I didn't realize they were doing that. If they would have run it in one day, it would have been a disaster. They had
that
the
would
2
have
days, which is really cool.
They started at like 10 EST, and it wasn't even 10. It went like they fucked around and they couldn't figure out the cameras, obviously. And it was a great show. They need bigger mats, obviously, because some people went right into the guardrail. I'm pretty
that's
sure
the
Johnny
ADCC.
Grippo's
That's Robert Drysdale. Robert Drysdale was bitching about that.
Oh yeah.
Before, remember, he got in trouble. That's how the whole thing when him and Mo started. He was bitching about the continuations. Like some of these guys are going like 4 rows up in the stands, like
There are
suplexing each other on
submissions
the
that
ground.
get finished on the like full carpet.
Yeah,
Like
in the parking lot.
Yeah, no. I took a screenshot of the exact moment that Keith Krikorian's head banged into the guardrail and like flew it open.
Yeah,
and it was just bad. All right, if you tell me that this question's too long and you got to clock your punch card, fully get it. But I got to shout out. I have a friend of mine. His name's Tristan. He's doing a lot of tournaments and he's starting to get his feet wet. He did a super fight. He won $100. He's killing it. He's a jacked former power lifter who's finding his way in the world. And he asked me a question that I feel like I'm not really equipped to answer. And so I figured I'd like throw it to you because I think it's a distinction that it might be cool to explore, maybe more on another episode. But what would you consider old school jiu-jitsu?
Oh, geez.
And that's it for today, everybody.
I mean, in what context? As a competitor or just in general, old school jiu-jitsu? Because you started off in one frame of reference. So you just said that he is a competitor, and his particular question is, what is old school jiu-jitsu?
Well, the lead up was that he's worried that like he knows that there's always new things coming out.
Yeah.
And so he's doing a lot of leg attacks. He's learning a lot of De La Hiva and a lot of the stuff that gets played now. Berimbolo. He does mainly no-gi, so he doesn't need to worry about worm guard. And he's worried that, in the way he's learning, he's missing some of like the big basics.
Yeah.
And he's wondering, like, A, does he need to go to more old school stuff to really get a better view of jiu-jitsu as a whole? And also, what does that mean? He's kind of being vague about it.
That is a big question, but because the viewer asked, I will get into it now for a few seconds, but I'm not going to get too far into it because I'm fucking tired. So what I always notice is this, and what I notice about jiu-jitsu in general is this, is that competition jiu-jitsu typically has its fads. We had, before the big boom, we had deep half guard. That was kind of a thing for a little bit. Then we had like X guard. That was kind of a thing for a little bit. The fad that hasn't quit for a while has been leg locks, right? Everything was leg locks. Now everything is attacking, countering the leg locks, moving to the back, and leg locks lingered for a long, long time. What I will always say is that the nuts and bolts of what make jiu-jitsu great are always there. You can always win a fight with shoulder pressure. You can always win a fight with a good solid base. You can always win a fight with wrestling. The 101s are always going to get you there. Now, however, the 101s will only get you so far. You have to have an understanding of all the other eccentric nuances of jiu-jitsu, novelties of jiu-jitsu, because you have to know them. Even if you don't know them to implement them, you have to be able to recognize them to be able to be an effective grappler in the modern game. But, you talk about what old school grappling is. You talk about having a solid base, being very difficult to pass or sweep. One of the things I always tell my new grapplers and my students is that when you're in a top position, yeah, your primary objective is always going to be passing the guard to advance positional dominance. That's the other thing, working up the pyramid of jiu-jitsu's dominance, positional dominance. Um, when you're in somebody's guard, your primary goal is to pass the guard to work up that pyramid of dominance. But however, if you get swept or submitted, none of that shit matters anymore. So number one, you can't get swept or submitted, and you do that by having a solid base. You do that by shutting down your opponent's guard and shutting down their ability to use that guard by finding grips and using pressure or whatever you do to keep that from happening. And, what I've always noticed, the guys that are really, really the best grapplers in the world now, it's starting to come back to what jiu-jitsu's fundamentals are, which is advancing positional dominance. You start from the feet. The guy who gets the takedown wins because now why? Because now you're not on your feet anymore. So now you're on top. Now you work to pass the guard or you pull guard and you sweep, whatever. Right. But you use what jiu-jitsu's fundamentals are, advancing position until you get to the point where you're on the back because we start talking about the positional dominance is in place for a reason because every step up that ladder, your opponent has less and less options to attack. Therefore, your ability to finish theoretically becomes higher. If you want to use a poker analogy, you can say this. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you're attacking a leg lock from the guard, theoretically, your opponent still has options. So yeah, maybe you're rolling the dice with that suited connectors. Maybe you're playing like 7, 9 diamonds or something like that. Now, you can win with 7, 9 diamonds, right? But you sure as fuck are going to win more pots when you play kings. And you're playing kings when you pass the guard, you get to the mount. And when you pass the guard, you get the side mount. Yeah, you can go for that fucking Kimura from that position. You go for fucking the Americana from that position, but you're playing pocket eights. You know what I mean? You're not playing a high premium hand from there. Yeah, you can do that. But the good money, the strong money goes into passing the guard and taking them out, which is why you get more points for extending up the ladder of progressions, right? Then you eventually, when you're on the back, you're playing aces because your opponent theoretically has little to no offense and you are in complete dominance over them because their back is to you, right? Now, that is, when we talk about going against an unskilled opponent, that's the only thing that matters, just going up that position with dominance. You're not sitting back for a fucking leg lock in a self-defense situation. Maybe you are, I don't know. But, I'm not sitting on a fucking mount. I'm going to the back because that's what jiu-jitsu is founded on. That's the fundamentals of what jiu-jitsu is. Jiu-jitsu at its core is a martial art. So I guess when you talk about, and this is the things that I teach, these are the credos that I teach. Yes, you can go for cool submissions all the way across, all the way up that ladder. You can hit leg locks from the guard. You can hit a submission from any one of those positions. However, when you keep to the script and you continue working up that positional dominance, your ability to finish will increase significantly and your jiu-jitsu will start to get better. And it's jiu-jitsu that is universally applicable. It's the same jiu-jitsu that works in MMA. It's the same jiu-jitsu that works in self-defense. And it's the same jiu-jitsu that works in sport jiu-jitsu. That's just my philosophy on that. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
I heard leg locks suck and gambling's good. So
gambling's good.
No, hey,
get better at the casino,
that's
kids.
the answer. I think that's the answer a lot of people might have needed to hear who are, in different stages of their journey and wondering, do I just, buy the new leg lock DVD and just focus on that, or maybe brush up on the
if you watch the new school of jiu-jitsu, the Roberto Jimenez's, the John Combs's, the fucking William Tackett's, the guys out there now, the fucking Hillbilly Hammer, the guys out there now that are lighting it up, that are the young bucks that have been training since kids. All of them have ridiculously solid fundamentals. All of them understand how to pass the guard. All of them understand how to work up because they've been training. Now we're looking at kids now that have been training from 8, 9 years old. They're not teaching fucking 8-year-olds how to do fucking inside heel hooks. You know what I'm talking? Maybe they are. I don't know. They're teaching them basic fundamental 101 jiu-jitsu, probably in the gi. You know what I mean? So they're learning those fundamentals, and then they're learning to compete, and they're learning, okay, cool. This is what these are the fun little things I can sprinkle in, but them son of a bitches still know how to pass the guard. They still know how to take them out. They know how to take the back, and they can finish you from all of those places. And they have their little creative bells and whistles. But the fundamentals now that are really working at the highest levels, you can't be a one-trick pony anymore. It just doesn't happen. You can't just be the leg lock guy. You kind of can be the leg lock guy, but you have to know everything because people know how to defend leg locks now. So you have to be able to incorporate other parts of your game because now your leg lock game opens up.
Case in point, there were a lot of rear naked chokes like towards the finals and semifinals of ADCC. Like
everything now is going back to the back attacks.
Yeah, back attacks were big this year.
Like, everything now is counters off of leg locks into back attacks or working your way into the back, especially in the ADCC. That's everything in the ADCC.
Yeah,
takedowns and back attacks because you pass the guard, people turtle, you take the fucking back. You take someone down, they turtle, you take the back.
Yeah, Keith Krikorian had a great I think it was Keith Krikorian had a great RNC against Gianni.
Gropo,
I need to rewatch.
Josh Duke with the fucking storm out of nowhere. That fat piece of shit. He's so fat. I love you, Josh, but you're a fat piece of shit with his fucking USA fucking windbreaker on and his fucked up curly haired mullet. I think he had a beer in his hand.
He's the dad looking for a fight at the little league game. That's the Josh LeDuc mindset.
I love me some Josh LeDuc. He's my fucking. I try to hate that kid for so long. I can't help myself.
You got to appreciate the.
You got to appreciate it.
Style points.
He is the PT Barnum of fucking jiu-jitsu world, man.
All right, man. Listen, we're both tired. We put in long hours for this, so I think it is time to once again sign off. To everybody listening, we appreciate you sticking with us. Brief shout out to friends of the show. No judges needed. It's the holiday season. You're looking for that special gift for the special grappler or grapplet in your life. I don't think that's a word. And you want to go to a business that you can trust. You want to go to a business that's jiu-jitsu owned and operated. Well, look no further than No Judges Needed. It is your one-stop shop for looking at fantastic on and off the mats, whether it's with gis, rash guards, or fight shorts, or casual wear like t-shirts and hoodies and other cool stuff that you can only find by going to www.nojudgesneeded.com. Still working on the promo code. Maybe someday. At this point, we just love the brand, so we're just gonna shout it.
You can use Trinity. You can use Trinity BJJ if you like. You get
Trinity BJJ. Let them know we sent you.
There you go.
I've been Kevin Bradley. You've been, and my co-host has been Mr. Kevin Gallagher, and we have been happy to talk with you. And we will see you next time you find yourselves stuck in K-Guard.
Cue the music.
Good night.